All right, ladies and gentlemen, David Costa, the Renegade Aviator, back with you again. You have found the right place, by the way. You are here at Air Racing, past, present, and future, and we've got a great guest for today. And if I can work the magic in the background, I'm going to do this introduction a different way. I'm going to let a professional do the introduction. Watch this video. It doesn't take very long, but this is just a glimpse of what's here to come right now. Here we go.
Well, it is time now to celebrate the biggest award in the business. It's time to celebrate the real Sword of Excellence. Since 1981, ladies and gentlemen, the International Council of Air Shows Sword of Excellence has been synonymous with air show excellence. When all of the previous sword recipients come on down, each year, this award is given to recognize outstanding service and personal contributions to the air show industry. The sword is widely considered to be the single highest honor that an individual air show professional can receive. And over the last 28 years, 35 different sword recipients have been honored for their leadership, their service, their innovation, vision, commitment, and selfless contributions to the air show business. Now, the award, created back in 1981 to recognize the highest levels of achievement in the air show business. Since then, the stature and visibility of the ICAS Sword of Excellence has increased as the list of past recipients has grown. The single common characteristic of this fantastic air show award is truly their gift of service. Ladies and gentlemen, here is this year's recipient of the ICAS Sword of Excellence.
If selfless service to the airshow industry is the yardstick by which the ICAS Sword of Excellence recipients are measured, Bobbi Thompson has spent virtually her entire life earning the recognition she is receiving tonight.
You're one of the smartest people I know. You put everything you have into everything you do, and that's inspiring to all of the rest of us.
During a professional career dedicated to airports and aviation, Bobbi has always been involved in some aspect of airshow management, helping to organize dozens of air shows from Florida to Missouri, from Nevada to Ohio, and everywhere in between.
When you speak of Bobbi Thompson, you speak of family. She treats everybody equal. Everybody's part of the equation. She asks their opinion. She helps them. They help her. She listens.
With your guidance, there have been so many air shows that have been successful, so many FBOs, and that smile just keeps on coming. You've been really, truly an awesome effect in the air show business and the air show world.
A dedicated and selfless advocate and volunteer, she has mentored dozens of airshow newcomers and has served ICAS in the airshow industry in many roles, including most recently as treasurer of the ICAS Foundation.
She's the type of person that says, you're not working for me, you're working with me.
With a heart as big as our sky, supporting the foundation for years.
There is not a committee she has not offered to help, or a difficult task she has been unwilling to undertake to help our airshow community.
I truly do not have enough fingers and toes to count all of the contributions that you have made, not only to our industry, but to the aviation industry as a whole.
Bobbi Thompson, you are this year's recipient of the Sword of Excellence.
I'm not sure what you're going to do with that big piece of metal. It's probably bigger than you are. But you've been so supportive of the rest of us all these years. You've got so many friends. We'll help you lift that thing up. Congratulations. Well-deserved, young lady.
Congratulations. We salute you.
All right. Yeah, that was great. You know, I was sitting in the stands that evening when Bobbi was given that award, and I thought this would do far better justice to Bobbi. Without further ado, Bobbi, I'm going to bring you in. Hello and welcome to the Renegade Aviator Show, but this is about Reno Air Racing and a very special announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend and someone who's helped me in the past as well, Bobbi Thompson. How you doing, Bobbi?
Well, hi, Dave. Great to see you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. Last week we had Tony on and we talked a little bit about air racing, and we'll get into that a little bit today. But what I'd like to start with is because anybody who's been around air shows knows you. As my buddy Bill Stein said, everything you have into everything you do. So you are out there in a variety of roles and doing all kinds of stuff in air shows in general. But what I think Reno needs to hear today is what the Reno Air Racing Association has put together coming up in October. So could you tell us a little bit about what's in store for the air show community?
Sure. I want to talk a little bit about how we got here, because in the past, if you attended the air races, you saw multiple races and 2, maybe 3 air show acts in between the races. This is not like that. This is a true air show event with only an air show, no races. So when the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority decided that they wanted to take Stead Airport in a different direction, they licensed us to do one last race in 2023. And they said, then if you want to, you can do an air show only in 2024. So we got to work and we decided, well, if we could be fortunate enough to pull in a jet team, which of course always draws in crowd, then we would certainly move forward and do an air show. Well, then we found out we got 2 jet teams, the Blue Angels and the Canadian Snowbirds. Now I know we've had the Blue Angels in this area previously, but if you haven't seen the Snowbirds, boy, are you in for a treat. Awesome stuff. In addition to that, we also have the F-16 demo team, which will be doing their act. We have some F-15 flyby demonstrations. We have 9 civilian performers, including the aforementioned Bill Stein. Dennis Saunders in a Sea Fury. If you haven't seen a Sea Fury doing aerobatics, that'll be a treat. Of course, we have the comedy act with Eric Tucker. And Jim Pites with the Bonanza. If you've been to races recently, you might have seen Jim, and it's just a stock Bonanza that he's out there doing aerobatics in. Oh, and then there's this guy in an Iskra. Oh, yeah, that's you. That's you. We're so glad to have you. The Smoke and Thunder jet truck, which will be fantastic. Then Undaunted, which is actually a 2-ship deal. And Vertigo, if you know Bob Carlton, you know Vertigo. This year, a 2-jet engine glider. Does that sound like an oxymoron?
Yeah, it does. But he's been out here flying around the airport in the past few days.
He has. And he's also going to do the night show. And then Vicki Benzing wraps up our group. And she'll be in the Mustang that used to belong to Clay Lacey that was here in the 1964 races. So what'll happen is on Friday, we're going to do a night show. So the gates will open about 4:00. And one interesting thing about our night show, we'll start it at twilight and do some of the acts in twilight and some in dark. Bob Carlton's one that does a beautiful fireworks and things and flares off the glider wings. But the Snowbirds also do a twilight show, as well as we'll have 3 other acts doing the twilight show. Then on Saturday and Sunday, we'll open the gates at 9:00. The show will start at 10 with the opening ceremonies, because we have a very long show. I mean, the Thunderbirds and the Snowbirds each do an hour demonstration, and then you've got all those other acts to put in there. So we'll be flying till 4:00. So you don't want to miss out. You want to get in there and get situated. The grandstands will be available like they always have been if you want reserved seating. The Checkered Flag Club, which of course is a private hangar that you can go to get out of the sun and relax a little bit and get a nice hot meal. And then all the VIP tickets that we normally have, plus additional ones as well. So there's lots of opportunities. We're going to have box seats as we've always had. So if you want to get your box seats, you have 10 friends or a corporation that wants to get together with the box right there on the flight line. Going to be a lot going on. And of course, we'll still do our STEM. You know, normally over 3 days leading up to the weekend, we'd have our STEM for our students. Well, this time we'll just have it on Friday. So about 7,000 kids will be there on Friday before the night show. and their jet teams will visit with them in addition to all this STEM stuff that we normally do. And we'll have our scholarship students there as well. Those are the students that we've awarded scholarships to in the past. We have 10 active students right now. Next year, we're going to do 12. So if you have someone interested, we're taking those applications right now. So all those normal things, if normal aviation things, are going to be happening with the air show, but it's a pure air show with all those acts, and they're very diverse, and I think you're going to find them really, really entertaining. And tickets go on sale later this month.
And we're going to be doing some fun stuff to get those tickets out there. And, this is a world-class air show. I mean, when we were sitting there in December at ICAS, everybody kind of thought, well, there's nothing happening in Reno because you guys are looking for your new location. And then all of a sudden we see the Blue Angel schedule and it says Reno. And then I'm going, wait a second, it woke me up. And then all of a sudden the Snowbirds and then the Viper demo. I mean, so you guys just did a fantastic job behind the scenes. There was some smiling faces, and it's because of the love of this market. Reno has been so good to air racing. To have an opportunity now to put on such a world-class event and I think maybe the first ever Twilight show in Reno.
In the state.
In the state. Interesting.
In the state.
Yeah, because heck with Nevada. I mean, Reno
Well,
is.
it's not often the fire department will say, sure, you can do pyro, and we're going to do pyro.
Actually, Rich and I were talking about that the other day. So, this is going to be something that anybody that can get out to Reno the 4th through the 6th of October is going to be well worth coming out and doing because it's not a farewell, I'd like to say. It's more of a launch for what's coming next. There's going to be cool stuff coming, but this is a celebration of this market. And I think, if you're within the driving range of Reno, certainly there's no excuse not to be here.
Well, we wanted to, even though the races are leaving Reno, we wanted to celebrate the past 60 years that we've been here. And we think this is a good way to thank the city, thank the community, thanks the folks that have come to the races in the past and say, we're still here, we're still strong, and here's our celebration.
That's outstanding. This is the question. I'm getting it actually now in the background. I'm getting how, right? So, and you might smile and maybe not. You've got a secret way to bring these teams together because everybody was. I've got 3 or 4 questions saying, how did you and your team get such great acts all at the same air show, right? Usually air shows will struggle to get one headliner act. You got several of them. That's an amazing feat.
Well, I think we've got just a fantastic team with National Championship Air Races. And of course, several of us have worked several years with these teams and these performers. And we have a reputation that we take care of them. We provide them what they need so that they're safe and can do what they're here to do and do it successfully. We want to make sure that the teams get to interact with the community and the people, and they'd like to do that. Remember, the Blue Angels are here because they're recruiting for the Navy. And so they'll be visiting schools and hospitals and doing a number of things. And we make sure that all that happens on schedule and they get to do what they're designed to do. And that reputation builds. This will be, well, I'm not quite sure how many. I've done over 40 shows now. And all but 2 of those had a team.
It's amazing. You ran some fantastic shows down in Minden, that I've had the pleasure of coming to, and your track record speaks for itself. Real quick on the Sword of Excellence, I really didn't want to brush over that, but for those of you that video that we played at the beginning, that was kind of an inside look into the air show industry. That's the ICAS event is, of course, the industry trade show, for lack of a better way to explain it. But it was really a testament to all that you've done for the whole industry as a whole, to see all the accolades and to get that nod from peers and from colleagues. How surprised were you when you saw your name up there? And
Well, of course, I've been going to ICAST for a long time, and I'm always curious to see the various awards that are handed out, and especially the Sword of Excellence, because it is the top award. And often the winner knows beforehand, so if they want to invite family or friends to be there, they can do so. I understand there were 3 people that nominated me for the award, and not one of them said anything to me. So a friend of mine had said she was doing some scrapbooks for some of her friends, and she needed photos to put in those scrapbooks. And could I send her some photos of me with some of the team members and stuff? Because that one shot that you saw with all the people in their mess dress, those were all Blue Angels, all dressed up.
Yep.
So I said, sure. Little did I know. That's exactly what she was doing, was setting me up. I'm sitting at a very nice table and we're chatting, and all of a sudden there's a 10-foot headshot of me out there. Yeah, I was surprised. In fact, I'm so glad they did a video, because otherwise I have no clue what happened.
It was just an amazing thing to see, and it's quite an accomplishment. It's so for most people in the air show world, we're just happy to show up. But it takes people like you that organize these events, that put in all the hard work, so that idiots like me can fly an airplane once in a while. And so thank you. I was pleasantly surprised as well. We're going to maybe pick your brain a little bit on some air racing as we go. But coming up, what I'd like to let people know is go to airrace.org right now and make sure that you sign up for the email alerts, and make sure that you stay close to the Reno Air Racing Association, because there might be some news coming in the future weeks. And it's, obviously you can come here every week and learn some of that stuff, but go to airrace.org. And as soon as tickets are available for the air show, of course, you'll be able to pre-purchase tickets. At least that's my understanding. Is that correct, Bobbi?
That is correct.
I think that'll be great. And we mentioned that these scholarships. I know you've been real big with that, with getting kids into aviation. You yourself are a world record holder in aviation.
And I started as a kid, but I'm still a kid because I get to stay in aviation.
That's true. Yeah. If you want to grow up, don't get into aviation.
That's right.
But those of us that don't want to grow up. So yeah. So this is also, I'm talking to a world record holder. I think that's pretty good. And it just shows that, young or wherever you are in the country, wherever you are in the world, whatever you want to do in aviation, there's always a spot for you. And air shows are where that spark is lit. You mentioned already that, the U.S. Navy Blue Angels are going to be there, and they recruit from there. I remember, even though I became a United States Marine, I remember my first air show when I got to meet Lieutenant Colonel Roger Parrish way back when they were still flying the F-4 Phantom. So it turned me crazy, and we're hoping to spark interest in the next generation right here in Reno. As far as where this is a question I just had asked here, where will the air show be in Reno? So some people think it's going to be at the international airport.
Well, it will definitely be instead at our regular location where we've had the air races in the past.
Back home.
Back home.
Yeah, that'll be great. Bobbi, anything you want to share about what may be coming up with the new selection for the next generation or the next chapter of air racing?
Certainly. And of course, that history was started last May when we put out the request for proposal. And then we had 38 interested communities. Then we had the bidders conference where they could come and get all the inside backstory, financials, and everything on the races. And we held that in 2 months because we had so much interest. Then there were 12 different communities at that point that felt that this was something that they could take on because it is a huge event.
Yeah.
And then we also invited them to attend the races in 2023 to see what happens because some of them never seen the races, even though they thought that they could do it. And from that, we shortened the list to 6. And just recently, we went down to 3, which are Casper, Wyoming, Pueblo, Colorado, and Roswell, New Mexico. And I think it's good to know some of the things that we look for. We knew we couldn't take Reno, pick it up, take it to a new city, plug it in, and go. We knew that each city was going to be different. Each new city would have different things that were great and some things that could provide challenges. But the top thing, of course, we looked at was safety. We wanted to make sure we could run safe races. And of course, when you're talking safety, there's just so many tangents off of that. Everything from your spectators coming into the gate to, of course, your race teams and race aircraft. And then we wanted to know that we had an ability to grow. At Stead, we had kind of reached the maximum. In fact, we were having to cut things because we didn't have the space to do them. So we would like to have the ability to grow. And then, of course, we wanted to make sure that each community could support the races and have economic stability to keep money in the bank for going forward. And we wanted to make sure that the fan experience was everything they thought it could be and way more as well. We also had to look at the physical structures, the course layouts, the hangars that are there, the hangars that they would commit to build if we needed more than what they had. What was immediately available, what was available on the long term. And then one thing we were very interested in was what is the local support? Now I can tell you that this has been just tremendous. At each one of these 3 finalists, it's not just local support. We've heard from the governors, we've heard from senators, we've heard from state elected officials, we've heard from city managers, from county managers, of course, airport directors, economic development people, state tourism. Each one of these sites has brought everyone out and entertained us. And in fact, in a couple of the sites, they didn't stop there. They went out in a 100-mile radius of their airports and brought in all those communities and all those elected officials. So it's really been great to have that kind of support going forward. Now we've had, of course, a lot of questions. We've done a number of visits. We've had all of our individual class presidents of each aircraft type class visit the final 3 sites to see what they thought about them. Because we can throw a great race, but if there's no racing airplanes, it doesn't work too well. So we wanted to make sure the class presidents and the individual pilots agreed that those sites would work for them. And one thing perhaps you didn't know, even though you kind of know everything, is at Reno, we had a speed limit.
Yes.
And the speed limit for jets, which of course you like the jets, was 525 miles per hour.
That's slow.
At these new sites, we don't have a speed limit.
Huh.
So NASCAR, hold my beer.
Oh, man.
So that's going to be exciting. I'm sure the pilots are going to love the fact that they can just go for it.
That is absolutely great news. Wasn't aware of that. And to have no speed, because it was kind of funny that you had a speed limit on a race course.
Well, it goes back to safety, the scatter patterns, which you've heard about, the different restrictions we had to keep it safe, G-lock, all those things, which because of the very open spaces we have at these airports, we can get beyond that.
That's amazing. That's great news.
Now we are a little behind schedule. We had hoped to decide by the end of this month, but because we want to make sure all the questions are answered and asked, and also the fact that we put it to paper, we don't want to go back in a month later and say, well, remember when you said that? And they go, no, I don't remember that. We want to make sure everything's in writing. It's now probably going to be mid to late April before the final decision.
Okay. Well, that's a great update as well, because that's the question we're getting asked, when is the decision going to be made? And, I guess here's what I brought this up sort of with, Tony as well last week. What can people do, right? People love to complain. People love to wait, ask questions, but what can people do to be part of a solution with either the Reno Air Show itself or with air racing in general? The people that like to pontificate on social media that why doesn't somebody do it this way, right? I'm sure you hear that every day. There's those who question, those who complain, and those who actually, like yourself, go out and do something. How can the average fan or the person listening right here be of service? Imagine that, be of service and take responsibility and help the process.
Well, the air races, we've used 1,200 volunteers in the past. That doesn't count the teams. I mean, this past in 23, we had 150 aircraft racing, and then all their crews. We're not counting them. We're just counting the ones that were there for the national championship air races to help out. So there's certainly that. But I encourage you, use the airrace.org website. Ask your questions. We will answer your questions. Contact me. But please, I certainly hope that you will ask the question before you put out the answer that may or may not be correct. Because those things tend to run like wildfire, and it just doesn't accomplish anything, and it causes issues going forward.
Great advice. Great advice. Yeah, take a simple step. Sign up, get the email, stay informed, and be willing to offer, to volunteer for something. There's plenty of things people can do. What I always tell people is share this information. Share the fact that we have an air show coming to Reno 4 to 6 October. You all have social media accounts. Everybody listening here, share this information because, ticket sales matter. That's what pays for all this stuff. And when it comes to the air racing, promote it. Promote whatever city is chosen in the end. Promote air racing, get people involved. One of the comments I had after the show last week was that this guy was a pilot, and he said, what? And I answered him very tactfully, but the question was sort of like this: what are they doing to promote to other pilots? Because I'm a pilot, and pilots at my airport don't know about the air races. I turned it around and said, what are you doing? Aren't you going to everybody and saying, hey, I'm an air race fan, and yeah, things are changing, but things are going to be better. It's going to be different. What are we doing each of ourselves? So I think if we all throw a little bit of help in, it takes the workload off you and your team, maybe just a little bit, maybe just a tiny little bit.
One of the fun things too, that we would have liked to have done at Reno Stead that we weren't able to do is one of those space restriction things that we would be able to do at any of these 3 remaining sites is like at Oshkosh, Sun Fun, how you can fly in and camp at your aircraft. We're going to be doing that at the new air races in 2025.
Nice. Yeah, instead of parking at the Reno main airport and having to get to people be able to fly in. Fantastic. I like it. I'm excited. I don't know. How about you? You're the one doing all the work.
Well, the site selection team is just awesome, as is the air show team. I hate to say this because of who started it, but it does take a village. It takes a lot of people to do these things, and fortunately we have a lot of really dedicated folks that are helping to make all these things happen. Because one thing, an air show is a big undertaking. Factor 10 to do an air race.
Oh yeah, it's the only event of its kind, in the world. In the world, yeah, absolutely. And if we don't protect it, by getting involved and that's what it is. Eyeballs, right? People that show up, people that promote it. Meaning individuals. We need to support it by our bodies, by our seats in the stands, by our social media posts, because it is the only one in the world, which is pretty darn amazing that we get to experience that. But I'm psyched when I heard no speed limit. So, man,
Get the Isker out.
I know. Well, I just bought a big new engine for it, so maybe that'll give me reason to go back into air racing and stop flying air shows or do both. But outstanding. Bobbi, once again, thank you so much for coming on, being a part of this. My small effort to be of some service. I really appreciate it. You've been a friend to me. You've been able to help me and my team out, and I certainly appreciate it. And anything you need from us, you're always welcome on the show. And anything I can do for you, happy to do that. So Bobbi Thompson, ladies and gentlemen, director to Reno Air Racing Association and Sword of Excellence winner for 2023. Wow, just a great accomplishment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. Certainly appreciate it.
Likewise, Bobbi. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Costa. I am the Renegade Aviator. See ya.